Footy Talks presented by Benjamin Moore. Welcome along to the show. Luke, Stephen and KJ with you as always. And today we will be joined on the show by Toronto FC head coach Greg Vanney. Greg, thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Hey guys, my pleasure.
Great to have you on the show again. First off, just your thoughts on what transpired last night and in a really busy schedule for your team with the shortest turnaround that you've had. Maybe some tired legs in the second half there and you can't keep going at the same pace and power that you have been forever.
Yeah, I think the image of the game was what it was. They weren't super interested in playing. They were very direct, which, between our guys in the front line trying to step out and get pressure to some of that direct service, but not really getting pressure. Then the balls are direct and played deep. You end up getting a little bit stretched out from front to back. Then, balls are getting knocked down into the space in the midfield. And our midfielders had to do a lot of work to try to pick up second balls. And, over time, I think that starts to wear on you a little bit as a team. And, they're relentless in doing it. They've got a young group of guys who will just keep doing the running. And then they bring on another set of guys who will just keep doing the running. And so it just becomes, you have to manage a lot of that stuff over a long game. It becomes frustrating. And I think it starts to also impact like your own decision-making as a team, that you get kind of sucked into this concept that the game is a certain way. And you get almost over eager at times when you do have possession and you do get into the other team's half the field, that you have to finish these attacks pretty quick, or you have to, and the game just kind of ends up being a little bit chaotic. That's sort of, you get sucked into that view of things. And I felt, between a little bit of tired legs and then I think a little bit tired minds as well, we got pulled into that a little bit too much over the course of the night. Again, I think when you play teams that are willing to play like that sometimes and press all out, you really got to punish them when you do get the chances. Because if you do, then it really changes, again, the mindset of the game and the mindset of the opposition. And we let a few chances go by that maybe we would like to have done a little bit better with. And so, this being the fourth game in this set, I think a lot of it just starts to kind of compound over the course of 90 minutes, and we never really want to try to break too far away from our vision of having the ball and playing through the pressure and being able to move things. We don't want to get into just playing direct, though. At times, it's the direct, the route one route is also a good way to pull them apart sometimes because they're overcommitted to pressing, but then you run the risk of stretching the game out again. So it becomes an interesting sort of quandary as you play over the time. And when, like you said, it's on 3 days of rest, you don't get a lot of time to prepare for something that is a little bit different than maybe you play against in other games. And so our focus here was more on just recovery and rest and trying to live on the continuity of each of these games as we go from one to the next. And this is just a very different image of the game than what we've encountered in the last few. So, we did enough to be ahead in the game, and we did enough to create some chances to get the 2-0, I thought, lead. But by not, we leave ourselves vulnerable, and a team that's just going to be opportunistic. That's the way they play the game. They're opportunistic and they look for their moment. And what a hell of a finish by the young man anyways. You got to give him credit for the shot, but I was a little more disappointed that we lost the ball again between our lines and our half of the field. That sort of leads to that opportunity that they get. But it's quite the shot that he put away.
Greg, before you came on, we were talking a little bit about what you said there about New York going direct, and you said if you change your style there, you just said, you can run the risk of it getting stretched. Despite the tired legs and the tired minds, does it say a lot about maybe your leadership at this team, that even though the team tried to take you away from the different look, that your guys still kind of stuck to your game plan, that we know what you guys play now, and that you don't turn it into that kind of game that they wanted to, particularly from you with an attacking point of view?
Yeah, again, I think that's that's something we've set in stone here for a while, and that's the players that we have. It's the way they view the game too. With Io up top and his ability to get behind, sometimes you can drop some balls into the depth and just let him go and track, which is nice to have. But our guys we're all committed to playing because we think over the course of 90 minutes, it's our best chance of getting results, not shifting into something else or trying to do something too different from what we've done. And it's been good for us. So So, we stick with it. I don't think we were at our sharpest version of it last night by any stretch. Too many balls lost. Sometimes guys taking just a little bit too much time on the ball against a team that they go the extra yard on you defensively. Like, they don't just get close to you, they go through you. And so if you don't move the ball quickly, then you turn over the ball. And we got caught on the ball a few too many times, where if we just move the ball just a little faster, I think we could expose some of the gaps that would be created through their aggressive pressure. But in the end, it's, again, the mentality of the group is what's enabling us to be where we are right now. I mean, there's a lot of things that are challenging that we could be focusing on, and we're not. And everybody, no matter what the image of what any of these games look like, we're competing from first minute to last minute, and we're dealing with whatever we have to deal with on the field, off the field, in every other way, which is, why we are where we are. So a lot of credit to our guys for just the strength of mentality, really, through all of it.
Greg, I want to pick up on that kind of point, really. I had a great coach and mentor at Newcastle called Tommy Craig, who used to say tiredness is a state of mind. That was his favourite thing whenever we were getting tired, and how difficult it is what you guys are dealing with. And how do you as a head coach keep these lads kind of going and motivated? They're away from their families. Some have young families. Some are young lads who want to enjoy a great city like Toronto, and they're kind of stuck in their hotels, and they're just kind of going through Groundhog Day, it feels like, playing game after game. We know you guys have done a brilliant job of it, but how difficult is that for you to try and find motivation for these fellas, and not just on the pitch, but kind of out with the game and different activities to keep everybody fresh, light and clear?
Yeah, for us, the one thing that we have that's good for us is I think our guys lean on each other. There's a lot of friendships on the field, off the field, that exist within our team, and guys who really kind of see each other like family in some ways. And so, they lean on each other. I think from the staff standpoint to the players, I think there's a really good relationship there in terms of just communicating and just being. We acknowledge what the situation is, but we have two ways to deal with it. We can sit back and complain about it and make it worse for ourselves, or we can find the best way to lean on each other and give each other strength and support each other through it. And good things might be able to come out of it. And if you can, at the end of the day, people are going to be talking about how strong of a group you are and what an amazing feat this is if you can do all of this stuff. And that's much better than the alternative in the end. So we just need to be there for each other and understand that it's challenging. The club obviously does a nice job of trying to help families that aren't here or that are away. And so to try to take some of the stress off of the guys there. But I do think a lot of it is just the relationships all across the board, from our staff, from our medical staff to the guys and everywhere else, that this is a little bit of a family support system here, even though times aren't great. And so from there, we try to build off of that. And to be fair, good performances, good results, all kind of feed into it, because if you get on the wrong side of it, then the negativity can start to creep in. Little things start to become big things, and we've been able to manage to stay on the right side of all of that.
You probably haven't had a chance to see it yet, Greg. I'm not sure, but we were talking earlier in the show, and it's along the lines of the personal side of things. Iowa Canola's story that aired on TSN last night during Sports Center. Incredible story where he takes people in depth into what he had to go through, living in a homeless shelter, things with his family, and the pressure that is on him, or has been on him, to get to where he is now, not just from a footballing perspective. And I wonder when you, it's probably one of a number of stories that you know of like that, Greg, but coaching isn't just about what you do on the field. And I know from your perspective, a lot about what you do off it as well. And these relationships with these players, how important from your perspective, and has it become more so as you've grown in your management, is it knowing those backstories to all the players that are within your locker room?
Yeah, I think it's more important now than it ever has been in sports to be able to connect with the players as people, as humans, and understand that, right? For me, I look at communication as three parts, right? There's the person that we're always trying to get to know and understand, and that's when the player shows up with his bag on the training field, whether it's a youth player or not. It's all the stuff that comes in that bag. It's the baggage that he brings from his life that you get to know that person, right? And then there's the player who you're trying to teach the game. You're trying to get them to understand all that. And then there's the competitor, who is the person you're trying to drive, and you're trying to make them right, give you everything they have on the field and really just compete, right? And there's sort of these three different pieces of every individual that you're trying to just work with. And so, getting to know our guys as people and understanding what makes them tick, I think is vital in being able to help them be successful, which in return is to help your team be successful. And I think that's more prevalent now in society and the way things work in society now with social media and everything about how emotions and people feel and all of these things that are in there. And so getting to know them is huge. In Ayo's specific case, he's a player I've known since he was really young. I have seen firsthand the pressure mount on him over the years, especially, last year as he was trying to prepare for an under-20 World Cup, and that then went sideways because of an injury, and how much pressure he had on him, at the end of the season. Like literally, I just said, "Are you having any fun doing what you're doing?" And you could tell he just broke down. It was like, I know, I just feel so much pressure. And for me, then it was all about like removing the pressure from him in some way, shape, or form to try to give him a platform to just enjoy the game. Like if you don't enjoy the game, it can be brutal. And he's only 20, right? So it was just to try to take that pressure off of him as much as I could in the environment that we've created, so that he could find joy in it again. And once you have joy, you start to work hard. Things start to happen because he's talented. And we started to see that. And at the beginning of this year, I think he bought a house for his family, which I thought it's like the truest sign of success if you can buy a home for your family and move them into a place. And I felt like he had accomplished something big for his family, and you could see some of that come through his play. And now we've seen him emerge, right? He has two enormous games. One, his first game in Orlando, enormous, right? Second one, he backs it up. And then he just finds joy now. You can see him every day. He loves competing. He loves getting out there. He wants the next opportunity. And he's found a good spot, and he's going to take off from that because of it. But I could feel the pressure that he was carrying. And I know his family, his background. I know his mom. I know everything around, and to try to just help him out to get him to where he needed to be successful. And now we just got to continue to build off of that, because he's got a platform now to continue to grow as a player, and he's got a great mindset, and he's ready to go. So,
Greg, if you don't mind following up, just to share a little bit more on that, as you really in your leadership roles and how you get that empathy for players, because obviously you're judged on winning games, developing players, picking teams, getting people in. And you talk about what you noticed last year with Ayo, and Ayo wouldn't mind me saying this, no disrespect to him, but he was probably 18th, 19th, 20th most important player to Toronto FC at that time. He wasn't getting in games very often, and you're able to notice him at that point. How quickly did you recognize that in the job that you've had now, that you needed to make sure that those players are there? Because there may be an Ayo Canola right now in your squad who may be number 19, 20, 21, that this time next year we may be talking about because of his success on the field. So maybe just talk to us a little bit about that, because I'm sure as a coach, in some regards, it's easy to focus on those 11 every week, isn't it?
Yeah, if I was to say a strength, or sometimes some could say a weakness of mine, is that I feel for all of the players. So even right now, we're in a situation where we don't have a TFC2. We don't have a platform for some of our younger players to get games right now. They're here with us. They're just training every day. And I'm like, there is an 11 or 14 or 15 who are trying to get us results. And now we're at the top of the supporter shield race, but I'm trying to figure out, how do I get these guys minutes? How do I keep these guys motivated and moving forward? Whether it's Jaden or Jack, or Jaquil, or these young guys that we believe in, but others like Subasa and, Jacob Schaffelberg and these guys. Like, I have more energy right now when I sit here thinking about how do I keep those guys moving forward, because we don't have all the platforms at our disposal. Because at the end of the day, if we win a championship, it's also going to be because they feel like they're a part of it, and they're showing up every day to push the guys who we need to perform week in and week out to win. And so, for me, there's more energy at times on just their emotional well-being, and also that they feel like they're getting what they need to continue to progress and to help our group and all that. And that's been the biggest challenge of all this, in all honesty, is to try to look after 30 guys who we have here in a way that everybody feels like they are contributing and or important and for the team, but also for their careers and everything else. And that is, for me, a lot of energy goes into that and trying to balance that. You've seen a guy like Tsubasa who hasn't played in a number of games. He comes on last night, and I thought he did great when he came onto the field. And he's a guy that helped us get to the finals last year, but he hasn't played a few games because I'm trying to bring Jaden into the mix and get him to feel it. So some guys have had to adapt a little bit, but I'm just conscientious of trying to accomplish so many things with so little sort of minutes in the grand scheme of things, even though these games are going fast. And now you're trying to balance that with, damn, we're at the top of the table and we might be able to win another supporter shield, and we might be able to get to, right. If you're in 4th or 5th place, you can do this and it's not so difficult and you're just going to stay there. But when you want to hold that top spot, it's a different position that you're trying to manage out of it all. And you're trying to do a few different things. So I'm glad we're there and I envy it, but I'm just trying to take care of everybody who's here and giving us everything they have every day.
You guys are going to get a few days at home, Greg, after Sunday's game, I believe, and then it's back to Hartford. And will it feel like at that point that it's really kind of getting into the nitty gritty of the season, and it'll be, the kind of excitement will get flowing again heading towards the playoffs? Yeah,
I think at the end of this 5-game stretch, and of this 5-game stretch, this one against the Red Bulls was the one I had the most concern about. And coming off of 2 road games, both on turf, short rest against a team that plays a kind of a style that is the Red Bulls. That was the game I'm most concerned about. We have 4 days going into the next one. It's the last one of these series. I think guys will be locked in. We've got to go out and compete and get a good result. But then I think when we go home and we have a couple days to kind of recoup and to see family and to whatever, I think we're looking at the tail end, the stretch run now once we get through this little set of games. And so I think that's the case, Stephen. I think that we got to power through this last one here in this stretch. And then I think there will really be a sense of the playoffs are right around the corner, but there's also going to be a sense of we're really in a battle for that top spot. The first game back is against Philadelphia in Philadelphia, which is going to be super meaningful. But it'll be come off of both teams having a little bit of preparation time and a little bit of rest. So it's exciting, and we always say when the weather starts to cool off, the playoffs are right around the corner. So we're starting to get some of that as well.
Well, as Mike says on the comments, it's the business end of the season when the Vanney beard is in full flow. So there you go. It must be.
If I'm at home, my wife may maybe shave it a little bit.
A bit different there in the top floor, the penthouse presidential suite of whatever nice hotel it is downtown Hartford that you're in. Bill Manning, the president, was on TSN radio yesterday, said that he had a couple of glasses of wine with you the other night, and that within the next couple of days, he said within days, there might be some kind of an announcement about a new contract for you. How close is the pen to the paper right now? Is it on the table in front of you? Are you nearly there?
In your pocket?
On the table, and I have to say it wasn't multiple glasses of wine. It was kind of it was a post dinner conversation, but and there happened to be wine at dinner. But yeah, it was. We're working through it. For me, this is. I'd love to be here for the next 10 years. I know that's not, always in the cards with the job that we're doing. So it's just, we need to road map out kind of where we're going with the team and how we're going to get there and some planning stuff. And you guys all know that I am super involved just in general with the club as a whole and trying to define a little bit of our vision for the club and what things we want to do moving forward and how this is going to look as we continue to build. My goal here is that I want TFC to be the best club in North America and that we start to close some territory on what we're measured against, which is clubs around the world. And what does that look like? And what does that entail? And how do we get there? And how do we achieve that? What do they need my role to be in that? What do I envision that to be and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to work through that. There's a lot of just questions and dialogue and talking and stuff like that. But, we've got a nice history and legacy that's been started here. And obviously we'd like to see that continue as much as we can.
So a 10-year contract on the way then, is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't think anybody trusts me that much, but
listen.
Hey, Alan Pardew got an 8-year contract once.
Yeah.
He did not win anywhere near as much as you won, Greg. So maybe you can put that in there a little bit, at least. That's for that.
every week on the show, we have the Benjamin Moore do-it-yourself play of the game. And this week, we saved it for something that I spotted on the Toronto FC Twitter account this week. Producer Kev can play this. You know where I'm going here. 1996, the Western Conference Final. LA Galaxy against Sporting Kansas City. And the shootout here. Talk us through this.
Yeah, the touch was a little too far for me. I got a little nervous, I think, when I see the keeper coming hard and the touch was there. So then I feel like I rushed it at the end, but I managed to sneak it under him. But this was – so let me give you a little context in this game. We went down 1-0 in Kansas City on a penalty kick given up by me. So I was a little anxious. So then we actually tied the game 1-1 on a free kick that was scored by myself. So then I felt like I had vindicated the whole situation. And then it all came down to that play. And that was in my rookie year, by the way. So I think that's why I was a little excited. I still don't really know how to celebrate goals, but I run around like a fool. But that was kind of the culmination of a game where I felt really bad. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to cost our team, to the elation of helping us to win it. But yeah, that shootout thing I'm glad that's gone, because that was nerve wracking.
Were you a regular in those shootouts? Did you take more than that one?
I was. I will give you a little known fact, and you guys, I know, are statistics and historians. Go back and look. I think I am the all-time leading scorer in the shootout for the history of Major League Soccer. I think that's, and I hope they bring that thing back, and then I'll have it forever.
There you go. You can tell Pozuelo that you're the shootout man.
Yeah, he's like the Pozuelo of the 90s and the early MLS days.
Let's be clear. The level of player back in the league at that time is a little different than it is now. So while it's there.
There were a couple of things I noticed. I showed that to my 9-year-old. I said, do you recognize who this is? His first guess was Steven Gerrard. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. But then second guess, he did actually get that it was you. So you haven't aged that much since 1996. The other thing was, I think if I'm right, I noticed, because I looked up the teams from those games, Robin Fraser was in there, Dan Calichman as well for you. And what are the odds that all this time later, 3 past or present TFC coaches, because I think in Kansas City's lineup, Mo Johnston and Preki were both in there as well, if that's right, for the Wizards.
Yeah, and the goalkeeper was Garth Lagerwey, who obviously we know is an executive in the league now. So a lot of guys who've had some roles around the league, but a lot of TFC connections there, as you said. Yeah.
And some great jerseys as well along the way.
Man, those things were like 5 pounds. They weren't like sublimated; they were sewn on. They were so heavy.
Do you still have them, Greg? Were you a jersey collector?
Yeah, I have a lot of those. So yeah, they're hidden in some box somewhere in our house for our boys one day to try to wear around. I don't know.
Did you trade jerseys during your career with opponents? Have you got a favorite one, or?
I did. Favorite one. That's a good question. I was one that was always a little more like shy from going and trading with guys, but there are a few that I picked up mostly in the days that I was in France. I think I traded with. We played Brazil once, and I played against Romario to age himself a little bit, which is one of the most incredible moments. We played in a back 3, and I was literally like man marking him in the day. But I think he came out before it all concluded, and I didn't get one. So that was a day I remember. But I got a jersey from someone, I just don't remember who. I'm
Really appreciate you taking the time to join us from Hartford, Greg, today. All the best for the next couple of days leading up to the game against Atlanta, which of course we'll have live on TSN, and for the rest of the season as well. And enjoy your time at home when you get it next week for a couple of days.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Greg. Keep it up.
Some real good insight from Greg Vanney today. So thanks to him for being on the show.
Everyone.